The arrival of Dutch warships in the Caribbean might sound routine, but look closer, and it begins to look like a quiet move in a much larger game. In recent weeks, two vessels of the Royal Netherlands Navy have been operating out of Curaçao. First, the HNLMS Pelican, a logistics support vessel that's long been stationed in the Caribbean. And now the more significant arrival, HNLMS Friesland, a Holland-class ocean-going patrol vessel, reported in Willemstad on August 22, 2025. The Friesland isn't just another ship. It's modern, heavily equipped, and designed for coastal surveillance, law enforcement, and anti-piracy operations. With its 76mm Otomalera gun, advanced sensors, and space for a maritime combat helicopter, the Friesland represents NATO's ability to project power quickly across the Caribbean. At first glance, this may seem like routine naval rotation, a European ally showing the flag, keeping sea lanes open, and supporting disaster relief. But timing and geography matter. Curaçao sits less than 80 kilometers from Venezuela, and Venezuela, under Nicolas Maduro, holds one of the largest proven oil reserves in the world. This is where the story shifts from local patrols to global strategy. Right now, the United States and its NATO allies are facing a deepening energy crisis. Europe is still reeling from the loss of cheap Russian gas. Western leaders are searching desperately for stable supplies of oil and natural gas. The Middle East, for decades the world's energy heartland, is no longer secure. Iran threatens regularly to close the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow choke point through which 1/5 of the world's oil flows. One conflict in the Gulf, and the entire energy market could collapse overnight. That leaves Venezuela, a nation politically isolated, sanctioned, but geographically close. Its oil reserves dwarf those of Saudi Arabia, and unlike Middle Eastern oil, Venezuela's resources cannot be cut off by a naval blockade halfway around the world. For Washington and its allies, Venezuelan oil looks like a secure, if controversial, fallback option, but securing it may not come through diplomacy alone. For years, the U.S. has quietly built contingency plans for regime change in Caracas. Economic sanctions have weakened Venezuela's economy, but not toppled Maduro. What sanctions failed to achieve, some argue, military pressure could force. Now connect the dots. Dutch vessels patrolling from Curaçao. U.S. Southern Command running frequent exercises in the Caribbean. British, French, and Canadian forces quietly rotating through regional ports. Layer by layer, the presence grows. On paper, these deployments are framed as anti-narcotics operations or maritime security. But strategically, they create a staging ground just outside Venezuelan waters. If conflict ever breaks out, NATO wouldn't need to build a presence from scratch. It's already there. And the timing could align with a broader geopolitical shift. By 2026 or 2027, the US and Europe may no longer be able to rely on Middle Eastern oil flows. Simultaneously, Russia is likely to tighten its grip on its own gas exports, using energy as a political weapon. That leaves NATO with few options: either accept energy scarcity and economic decline, or secure new sources by force. Venezuela could become the next Iraq, a war not of ideology, but of energy survival. The question is how it unfolds. A direct invasion seems unlikely at first. Instead, we could see hybrid tactics, blockades, no-fly zones, humanitarian missions designed to destabilize the Maduro government. Perhaps even covert support for opposition movements inside Venezuela. All the while, ships like the Friesland and Pelican quietly ensure that NATO maintains a logistical lifeline only minutes from Caracas. And Venezuela will not stand alone. Russia has been a longtime ally, supplying weapons and technical support. China has invested billions into Venezuelan infrastructure and oil projects. If NATO makes a move, it could spark a new proxy conflict, one with global consequences. A Caribbean standoff might quickly spiral into a worldwide power war. Imagine this scenario. Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, Russian gas stops flowing to Europe, and NATO suddenly announces security operations in Venezuela. Overnight, the Caribbean becomes the front line of a new global confrontation. And unlike the wars in the Middle East, this one is unfolding right in America's own backyard. For now, these ships remain docked, their presence explained away as routine patrols. But history tells us otherwise. Military deployments in strategic choke points rarely remain neutral. They are signals. quiet, subtle, but unmistakable. The question is not whether the Royal Netherlands Navy is patrolling the Caribbean. The question is what they are preparing for. Because if energy truly becomes the battlefield of the future, then Curaçao may prove to be one of the most important islands in the world. And Venezuela, sitting just across the water, could be the spark that lights the next great war over oil. Stay informed on the world's shifting power. Subscribe to the Watchtower Report, where strategy meets reality.